Hey, happy people. Thanks for checking in. My name's John with the Sync Center, and we are deep into a series called the Sync Supervision and Clearance series, where we talk about questions and best practices for managing music in visual media, whether it's an advertising campaign, a theatrical release, branded content on YouTube, or even a first-time filmmaker in film festivals. Managing music can be tricky, so we like to set aside some time to unpack and talk about a common question, really to help you succeed in getting your project out in the world. Hey everybody, John from the Sync Center. Wanted to jump on and talk about a question we've gotten a ton of lately, and that is the idea of public domain. Is a song in the public domain? Somebody said it was in the public domain, or is part of the song in the public domain? There's a lot of moving parts as you think about public domain and sync licensing. So by the end of this video, I want to give you 3 tools that really act as guardrails and slingshot you forward as you're thinking about music licensing, and really help you avoid the missteps and minefields in regards to sync licensing broadly and then specifically to public domain. So first tool is what we call the 200% rule. And that is this: there are 2 parts to a song. We call the first part, the bottom part, the invisible part, the copyright, okay? And the second part that sits on top of that, we call that the master recording. The copyright, the invisible copyright, is usually owned and controlled by the publisher. The top part that sits on top of the invisible part is the master, and that is usually owned and controlled by whomever paid for the recording of that song, usually the record label. Okay, so that's the 200% rule. Generally speaking, you always want to think about songs through this lens of the 200% principle and not leave half of the song cleared for your film and the other half uncleared or part of the copyright. You want to get to 200%. So it's a really important part of anytime you're licensing music. So the second tool I want to give you is the length of the copyright. Okay, so the length of the copyright is this: it's the life of the author plus 75 years. Let me say that again: the life of the author plus 75 years. So example, let's take Strauss. Say he died in 1800. So it would be 1800 plus an additional 75 years past that. So the date that it could go into public domain is 1875. Okay? So the thing that where it gets tricky is that the bottom part can be in public domain, but the top part, the master recording, is not. Very common for classic songs to be re-recorded with modern instrumentation, and the master recording is not in public domain, but the underlying copyright itself is in the public domain. So you want to be very careful in not assuming everything's just all in one big ball and yay, public domain, I don't have to pay for anything. That's not how it works. We license PD stuff all the time, and you need to be very specific in what is in public domain and what is not in public domain. So beyond that, you also want to be very careful of maybe a buddy of yours. Somebody said somewhere that the song is in public domain. So you want to avoid listening to people who don't know what they don't know. And you also should be careful. There's $900 per hour lawyers that will way overcharge you for this. So those are 2 polar opposites that you want to avoid. We'd be happy to help you with this at the Sync Center. You can find our contact info below. And beyond that, our team at the Sync Center has created what we call the Sync Licensing Field Guide. It's right under 100 pages of all the questions we've gotten over the past 15 years in filmmakers, producers, musicians, calling us, asking for help in licensing music and managing the music supervision process for them and their film. So it's really helpful in helping you not get caught off guard in waiting to the last minute to license music, and for not overpaying for uses that you really don't need. So that's the Sync Licensing Field Guide. You can find that link below. It's a free download. And we just want to help filmmakers get a baseline understanding of how music licensing works. As more and more music is used in more and more places, the synchronization process has gotten more and more important. So that's a gift from us to you. You can find that in the link below. So that is it for this episode. I hope that helps you. I hope that adds some clarity to you as you're licensing music for your film or advertisement. We'll see you next time.